On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We are in the midst of, well, potentially finding out that these two guys might sort of be doing maybe behind the scenes stuff, quite possibly trying to push an agenda without necessarily having Trump's approval. We'll see. We don't know yet for sure, but I guarantee you one thing. If these guys are in fact responsible for what could be tied to them, they are going to have major hell to pay, and it would not surprise me if Graham somehow showed up similar to how John McCain did, with a wrinkled flag on his coffin too. We'll see. I don't know. Again, not 100% sure how this is going to play out, but it's not looking good for the big picture. I've got some weird stuff going on, man. First off, just starting here, another oarfish has washed up on the beach. I think this one's even out here on the western coast here in California, which has got me a little on edge, certainly. But these generally show up when there's about to be some sort of doomsday. They're called the doomsday fish for a reason, because they are in the super deep waters, and when they start to show up, it's usually not good. There's usually something horrible that happens. And this is like the fourth one in a reasonably short period of time, folks. We're getting close to something. Ex-White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, the lady who I used to say had the hardest job on the planet, and I still claim that was correct. She's apparently claiming now that she's not a Democrat, and she's planning on coming out with a tell-all book. She didn't just work for the Biden administration. Some of you, I didn't know. She also worked for the Obama administration. So it might be interesting, some of the stuff that she's going to be willing to talk about. I don't know. We'll, again, see. I don't want to get ahead of her and the potentiality. Now, one thing that the Dems love to do is they love to be hyperbolic, and they do it so often that it's like the boy who cried wolf. So the big, beautiful bill is apparently going to kill everybody now.
And we all know one thing. Donald Trump is just lying about the bill. Lying about the bill. Well, here's the "we are all going to die" act. And we all...
He obviously is not aware of how stupid he is. He just can't be. I mean, it's evident. Whatever. Here's Ted Cruz kind of beating up on Spartacus, he calls him. That was kind of damn funny.
You are very, very, sir, very, very deep into the waters of hypocrisy in your criticisms of Chuck Schumer.
So let the record reflect that Spartacus did not answer the question and did not tell us whether the criminal law should be enforced, because he knows the answer is yes, and he knows that the Biden Department of Justice was being wildly political and partisan in refusing to enforce the law because they disagreed with the Supreme Court justice's rulings.
Which, yay, but Cruz is doing nothing, right? They just talk. They're just talkers. Granted, I haven't heard him come out hating on the budget. We're going to get to that. That's this whole big section of crap over here. There's a lot to talk about that. And this is an interesting divide, too, the whole entire budget thing. It probably should have been the thumbnail, frankly, but whatever. Arizona governor vetoes a bill banning China from purchasing land in the state. Yep, that's right. Katie Hobbs, who we're reasonably sure stole the election. Reasonably sure. A lot of evidence to suggest that anyways. That said, she has done all sorts of horrible things. She's been stopped in a few places, and this is one place where she has managed to stop us from trying to make things better. We literally wanted to keep the Chinese from owning, I think, more than a 30% stake in a property, something to that effect, and they would not, basically be able to rise up and blow up our military bases, essentially, right? So a bunch of Republicans were cool with this. They pushed this through the House and the Senate. She vetoed it because, she's probably one of the ones that China's paying for, right? CNN crashed hardcore, 374,000 viewers last week. Fox News has picked up most of the normies, I'm going to call it. A lot of people don't realize how many people are asleep that are on the Republican side. So a lot of the people watching Fox News on a regular basis are in that. And then there's some of us that I get in there every once in a while. The girlfriend likes it. Like if she wants, sometimes if we watch TV And it's not like The Voice or this. I've got a DVD set that I got. I think it's called Blacklist. It was on like ABC or NBC. As much as that pains me, but it's a freaking awesome series. So I bought the DVDs, and we've been watching that and just loving the hell out of that show. It's pretty cool. I think we're still in the first season. There's like 10 seasons I've got. So all said, we don't watch a lot of TV, and sometimes we do throw on Fox. So I'm not going to beat up on myself here, but they're averaging about 2.3 million viewers, as opposed to CNN's 374,000. There's many content creators out there right now that have more than 700 or 374,000 people watching them on any given day. Not me, by chance. I don't even get that many views, I think, in a week. Close, but no cigar. All said. Yeah, they're doing bad. So all you people that are worried about mainstream media, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? There's a couple creators I've heard talking about that, and they start freaking out, start panicking. Well, who cares what they say? Nobody's watching them anyway. That's the thing that we all need to remember. Also, 36-year anniversary, which is an interesting 9 number, hopefully one of completion. But China has the Tiananmen Square massacre. 10,000 protesters were killed. Pretty gnarly. Bad day. Obviously, one of the most famous pictures in history. There is a very interesting Mandela effect around this one, and I honestly can't remember exactly what it is. It's something to do with whether this guy dies or not, I feel like, but anyway. Yeah, strange. But not a good anniversary, that's for sure. Trump White House is not going to issue any sort of pride proclamations, which is good. We're going to be changing what June is, I believe, anyway. Hegseth is directing the Navy to rename a ship, previously honoring this individual named Harvey Milk. Apparently, Harvey Milk was some gay guy that he was openly gay, elected official from California. He also had a sexual relationship with an underage runaway. So, he was a real piece of work. Good thing we were naming ships after him. That lady that had the prostate, what was her name that was in charge? I forgot. But yeah, she obviously wasn't helping. So the Colorado terror suspect actually caught himself on fire first. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's kind of make you feel a little better about what happened. But he literally threw a Molotov cocktail. And that's one of the things about Molotov cocktails. Not that I've necessarily thrown them. I've just seen so many videos of people using them and having this problem. Where if you don't have that wick in there tight enough, and it can leak out at all, when that liquid comes out on you and the fire, and not good. So that explains why he didn't have a shirt on. That also explains the burns that he received on his body. So yeah, and probably some of the anger that he had. But yes, he in fact did catch himself on fire. I don't know, made me feel a little better. More than 100 illegal immigrants were arrested by ICE at a Florida construction site. This just happened recently, so yay, right? Tom Homan talking about, we have the potentiality of another 9/11 attack coming. What Biden's administration did to make us less safe will never be forgotten, but we're going to continue to work on it. There are no guarantees that we see something, say something, guys. Those of you that are aware, that are ripple makers and are actually even kind of waking up even further, doing some of the advanced stuff, you guys are the ones that are going to probably pick up on what's happening if it's in your area especially. So have them spider senses tingling if you can, please, folks, and pay attention when they are. Because a lot of it's going to come down to bringing attention to stuff that's going on. And by bringing attention to it, it will stop it, right? So, again, see something, say something, for sure. But here's Tom Homan talking about, the danger we've got.
Now, borders are. Tom Homan. Tom, let's get your first reaction, your first public comments on this issue out in Colorado.
Me and you have been talking about this for years, Sean. I mean, I worked for the network just before I came back to the second Trump administration. And I've said over and over again, what scares me about the southern border, the sex trafficking, right? Sky high. The Americans dying from fentanyl. The people, all the drugs coming across, all the sex trafficking, all the smuggling. And I said what concerned me the most was they created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. Not only did 2 million known gotaways, 2 million people cross the border, we don't know who they are, where they came from, we don't know where they are now. On top of that, even through the legal process, the Biden administration were bringing people unvetted, handing out work visas like they're candy, while they sat here and planned something bad. We are going to be dealing with this for the next 10 years because of the chaos they created in 4 years. We're out there kicking butt. We're arresting a lot of criminal aliens. We're out there looking for the bad guy. And when we're out there doing that, Sean, we got protesters assaulting ICE officers. We got members of Congress all over the country going to ICE facilities, raising hell, saying this is their oversight responsibility. Where were those oversight responsibility when 10.5 million illegal aliens came across the border? Where's the oversight responsibility on releasing over 8 million illegal aliens to this country? Where's the oversight responsibility then? This is an attack on ICE. This is an attack on the Trump administration. We're trying to fix the damage done by Biden.
You're doing a great job, and this was the most preventable national security threat, I would argue, in history. I have annoyingly asked you the question over and over again. When you have known terrorists and murderers and rapists and cartel members and gang members in the country, and you have them, 12 million, 15 million, 20 million, nobody knows the actual number. And what did we learn from 9/11/01? They were at war with us. We were not at war with them, the 9/11 Commission report. They're plotting, planning, and scheming. This is a terror attack. I'm worried about the big terror attack, and of course my prayers, my thoughts, my sympathies go out to the victims here. But do you not agree that if we don't find these people soon, that we are at risk of a 9/11 or worse?
It's coming. I mean, why did 2 million illegal aliens pay more to get away? They could have paid half of what they paid, cross the border, turn yourselves into a border patrol agent, get released that same day, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, plus free medical care and work authorization. 2 million people paid more to get away. They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. Why? This scares the hell out of me. I've been doing this for 40 years. It should have scared the hell out of every American what the Biden administration did. This 2 million known gotaways scares the hell out of me. So I'm convinced something's coming unless we can find them.
They came from over 200 countries. We don't know how many. We know there are terrorists here. I mean, you've taken on Mission Impossible, as great a job as you're doing, but to find every single one of them, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I think they lost audio or something. It was kind of funny how that played out at the end there. Chinese nationals caught smuggling agro-terrorism. This fungus, and it's not the fun kind of fungus. No, it's unfungus. Not good at all. This one, in fact, would have wrecked it's a native species that would have overtaken, and we have it's like kind of like when the Europeans showed up here and sneezed on the first Native American they saw, and then all of a sudden they all had plagues. This same thing would have happened to our rice, wheat, barley, like all of those types of crops. This would have been horrible. They caught him with it and stopped it, but this has to concern all sorts of people. Again, we are in a very interesting place. The bad guys want to hurt us so badly. And I mean like the deep state. It really is. It's what it comes down to. CCP, the little bits of packets that are probably still involved in Iran for sure. Israel I wonder about, but certainly in Ukraine still. Like, we've got 3 very key places where we know some super bad apples exist. And then some places where we're just not sure. But we're, like Netanyahu. I'm still up in the air kind of on this guy. I think he's probably not a good guy. I don't know, whatever. He's serving a purpose at the point, obviously. So we'll see. I mean, I can't do anything about it, right? What are we going to do? But, yeah, it's very strange how a lot of this stuff's happening in the world right now. 55 tons of meth ingredient from China was bound for the Mexican drug cartel. That was seized in California. So, yay, we did something good. And it was, I guess, dicumyl peroxide? Maybe. Not sure how you... Weird. Boy, I tell you, chemistry school seems very far away at this point in time in my life, that's for sure. Spend so much time using it. The only time I think I do is when I get like a stain in my clothes. It's like, all right, what stained it? Likes attract likes, so I got to dissolve this with something similar. U.S. Army hits annual recruitment goals 4 months early. That's pretty groovy, right? Like when you worry about all the crap that is, seconds away from killing us, apparently. Well, at least we've got our armed forces numbers are starting to get back to where they should. I think we brought a lot of people back, too, but I don't even think that's part of the recruitment. I think just straight up people are joining because they want to be a part of what's happening nowadays. They also, I think, see the direction things are going. We had a man was arrested out in New York. He was at the JFK airport, and he was about to escape. And who was this guy? This was the dude that did that Palm Springs bombing, that clinic, that IV clinic bombing. Didn't hurt anyone, thank goodness, but did a crap ton of damage. I thought, wait, hang on a second. Man was arrested overnight in connection. So they had initially told us that the torso that we found in the street, that they actually showed too, was horrific, was the bombers, but apparently not. Apparently not. We got this dude, Daniel Park, 32, taken into custody. So who knows what that torso, somebody died, sounds like, or there was a dead body that was used, which is common. So again, anybody that's watched any of the serial killer shows on TV, I mean, shit, Dexter, if you watch that for a few seasons, you can figure out some of this crap. It's unfortunate. Donald Trump trooped this out. With the exception of the rigged presidential election of 2020, the auto pen is the biggest political scandal in American history. And right? Like, there is so much that's going into it. We've got, I believe, what was this, Comer, talking about how this is actually going to go into overdrive, I guess, kind of within the next 24 hours, it sounds like. Sounds like this is about to get real in a very cool kind of way. Check this out. It's a trip.
James Comer's with us. James Comer, let's start with you and say, okay, so you have been in touch with 4 people on his staff and his doctor. What is the status of that? And are you planning on calling a lot more people?
Yes, but to answer your first question, we've had communication for over a week now with their attorneys. We notified the 4 staffers and Dr. O'Connor 10 days ago. We've made rapid progress in 10 days. You have to give them an opportunity to come in voluntarily. You have to give them an opportunity to hire an attorney, in other words, due process. They've hired attorneys. Our staff attorneys have been communicating with their attorneys. I'm very pleased to announce tonight that I expect a date to be announced very soon where every staffer will be coming forward and answering questions voluntarily by our committee. If for some reason they backtrack in the next 24 hours, then they will receive a subpoena, and they know that. With Dr. O'Connor, we have a call tomorrow with his attorneys. I expect the same from Dr. O'Connor. So this investigation is moving at a rapid pace, Sean, and you know that there's been a ton of information that's come out in the last 7 days from eyewitness accounts, the tell-all books, the Tapper book, people like Buttigieg, interviews that have surfaced where Joe Biden didn't know about, executive orders he just signed. So this investigation, I think, is going to move at a pace that we're very pleased to see for a congressional investigation.
You said on this program that these people are lawyered up at this particular time. Have you had conversations with their lawyers? Will these people be under oath for these transcriptions?
Yes, if they come in voluntarily, they will have to sit down for interviews. The way a congressional transcribed interview goes, the majority party, which of course is the Republicans, will have an hour to ask questions. Every member on the House Oversight Committee who wants to participate in that will participate in that along with our attorneys, and the Democrats get an hour. We'll rotate back and forth until we ask all the questions. These are very substantive. If you lie to Congress, that's a felony. If they come in with a subpoena, then that'll be a deposition, which is a little more formal. But either way, if they say something that's not true, that's a felony, and they will be referred criminally to Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice. They know that. That's why they've hired, it looks to me like pretty big time attorneys to come in. And now I can say tonight on your show, Sean, that we're moving on to the next batch of people that we've identified that would have some responsibility of the auto pen. The amount of information that's coming in is very rapid. And with this investigation versus the last Biden influence peddling investigation, we haven't thus far faced a weaponized left-wing media, because I think the left-wing media knows that this was a cover-up. And I think there's a little bit of curiosity now as to who was actually running the country.
What about Josh Hawley suggesting on this show that, in fact, Secret Service agents said that Joe Biden was getting lost in his own closet? Is that going to be investigated? Will those Secret Service agents be asked?
Absolutely. We're starting with these staffers that we know are the ones who manually put the documents in the auto pen and press the power button to sign Joe Biden's signature. We want to know who told them to do what and when. We want to know that Joe Biden actually gave the authority to do that that Joe Biden was cognitively aware of what he was doing. If he even told them to use the auto pen, that's why we're bringing in Dr. O'Connor. We all know that Dr. O'Connor continuously issued reports saying Joe Biden was a picture of health. Everyone in America knows that wasn't true. We saw that in the debate. And as more information comes forward, Dr. O'Connor's going to have a hard time explaining these brilliant reports of health that he was issuing on Joe Biden when he was president.
How high up, in terms of the people in the higher positions of power in the Biden White House, do you think you will go? And will you bring in the family members? Will you bring in Dr. Jill Biden? Will you bring in Hunter Biden? Will you bring in Jim Biden?
If they're implicated as to having any part in the decision-making process of using the auto pen, then yes, they will be brought in. I can tell you with confidence, people like Ron Klain will be asked to come in before our committee. We're moving at a rapid pace. We feel confident that the negotiations with the first 4 staffers, as well as Dr. O'Connor, have gone well enough to where we can start the process of initiating the next batch of employees. And we're going to follow the trail, just like we followed the money trail in the Biden influence peddling investigation. We're going to follow the trail of who said what and when with respect to the auto pen, because the amount of executive orders that were signed in the last 90 days of the Biden presidency is breathtaking. I don't think the average American realizes how much activity there was in this White House at a time when almost every American now realizes that Joe Biden was completely checked out. And you're having executive orders that many of which, Sean, were used to Trump-proof this administration, making it harder for Donald Trump to fulfill his commitment, to fulfill his agenda, because he's getting, having to fight in court against all these executive orders that were signed by the auto pen. So this should be an investigation I think every American is going to be interested in. And this time, I think that everyone in America is going to step back and allow the Oversight Committee to be able to ask these questions, because everybody wants to know the answers. They know something bad was going on in the White House. They just don't know who was actually calling the shots.
And what this
James
is from
Comer's with us. James Comer,
what this is from our standpoint is this is the movie finally playing itself out, right? The thing that we've been talking about, most of us, because we're kind of, again, the leading edge, and it's very hard for a lot of us to wait for the rest of the wing to get the story. That's the leading edge, using a wing analogy anyway, but that is kind of what the problem is for most of us, right? We're like, well, hurry up, please. I'm hearing so many people freaking out about Pam Bondi and the Epstein list. In my opinion, just people that unfortunately don't get it, don't understand how big this really is and how this kind of needs to play out. And there's timings. You want to get rid of leaks. You've got to make sure your house is in order. There's a lot of things that still needs to happen on the Trump side. We need to get this bill. And there's a specific, very weird thing that's thrown in the bill, and I assume many others. I've got one example that's pretty freaking crazy. There's many reasons why this bill is hoping to get passed. So we'll see, again, how that plays out. I want to remind you guys, I want to call him my good friend. I'm just because I've had him on my show 3 times. I want to act like we're buddies. But Mike Lindell, I do have his phone number. I mean, that counts. That said, he's doing the court thing now. He's actually doing a jury trial for the Smartmatic. This dude's put his money where his mouth is. It's one of the things I love about Mike Lindell. There's a few things. I love the fact that he's extremely genuine and authentic. He just is. Like, he is the dude that you always see on the commercials. Like, that's just him all the time. I assume when anybody has a conversation with him, he's like, well, with the oatmeal, I love it when it's got raisins, it's incredible, right? Like just imagine. His conversations are always, got some passion to them. Some passion, they would say. So there is an opportunity. If you go to mypillow.com/OTF, first off, there's amazing stuff to get here, but there is a way to help him if you're interested in doing that. By no means am I pushing you to do something, but I would suggest this dude's actually, I think, done a lot to try to help with the bigger picture and certainly with the election fraud, and he's sort of really been on it, not sort of, big time. He had three venues. I went to 2 of them. I didn't know about the first one, I guess. But he apparently put it on 3 times, and he paid for that himself. And it cost way over $1 million each time. So the dude's in debt, but he's fighting the fight. One place you can go is mypillow.com/OTF. You can also take advantage of this awesome roll and go pillow. They're giving them free for any purchase. And this is a special deal that we're getting on my channel. I think Bannon's War Room got this in one other channel. I don't know if this is spread yet, but this was specifically to us, important people, big people. Bannon's War Room has over 1 million subscribers, folks. I got 60-something, 3 or something like that, 1,000. I'm not even in the ballpark. You guys are in the ballpark of Bannon's War Room. That's what that's about. Yeah, it's incredible. You guys earned this. And also, $100 in digital coupes. I can't wait to see what those are. But those are, you spend $100, you're going to get $100 in digital coupes. They're supposedly pretty cool. I'll let you know for sure what they are specifically, because I've actually got a shipment that's coming my way. But they've got the great Giza, that's their high thread count, Giza cotton, super wonderful sheets, $49.98, any size, any color. $29.98 for their percale sheets. Those, $29.98, any size, any color. Also, incredible sheets, super deep pockets, easy to use. That fourth pocket, you're not going to stroke out, right? Even if you got a topper, which I think they've got for $99. Look at this, $99.99. Look at that, a topper. You got a mattress that's kind of questionable. Don't really want to buy a new mattress yet, but somebody hasn't been rotating it maybe as often as they're supposed to. And get a topper, man. It throws some extra life in your mattress. The towels, every towel they make, every one of them, beach towel, dish towel, regular bath towel, they are the best towels you'll ever use. You'll be surprised. Anything. Their terry cloth robe is the same way. All that stuff. And, of course, dog beds. Don't forget about your pets, folks. Don't forget about your pets, especially your dogs. I'm a dog lover. Dog pillow. They get it. They love it. Especially if you've got one for each room that you tend to hang out in, and they've got a little happy place to go. Oh, yeah, life is good. And, of course, the older dog that doesn't understand you got a new couch and he's not supposed to get up on it anymore. He's like, I've been getting on the couch for 17 years. Why am I going to stop now? And you're like, well, because you've got seeping nastiness that's all over you because you're old and gross. And here's a way around that. Dog blanket. Yep. That way you just put it there and you're like, here's your new home. And they're like, hi, I love you. Back where they always go, right on the thing. Life's good. Also the original pillow. Love it. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. I hope Mike does okay. And prayers to Mike. If anybody, just even that would be really awesome if you guys don't mind. I told my wonderful, sweet contact over at, I don't know why I gave her all those descriptions, but she's just been very cool. Every time I've ever had an issue, she's like the one person I've been able to always get in touch with, and she responds back, and she is amazing, and she always helps. By the way, I get a lot of the graphics and videos and stuff from her, so she's a wonderful lady. Whatever. And I hope, if she does watch my stuff, I hope she direct call out to that wonderful lady. But anyway, she's, prayers to Mike. It's just, he's going through a lot, and he's fighting a big, big fight against people that don't want to give up, and I actually think he's going to win. And this is going to be huge vindication, especially for him, and it's going to help his company, which is an American company. So, again, a lot of good stuff. FDI is going to launch a new AI tool. This is going to be happening all over the place in government. A lot of people are freaking out about this. I don't know. I talked about it recently. I had my quote-unquote intel release. And, folks, AI has been kind of in charge of this world for a while. So the AI tools that we're developing are actually giving us a chance, I think, to some degree, to, one, improve our situations and do stupid, mundane things significantly faster so we can focus on harder things or more important things or things that humans are uniquely good at. That's awesome, because that allows us to kind of refocus efforts and not have to do mundane things. Again, a lot of people are doing research and stuff. I'm watching people have so much fun with AI when it comes to, and again, I'm not pro AI. I don't like using it. Every once in a while I'll throw grok and I'll do something cool with it, but or ask it to search something for me, because I know it's got ability to just search very quickly a lot of different sources. So I like that. That's easier. That certainly would take me much, much longer to do it. I can do it, but it would take me longer. So there are a lot of really cool ways to utilize these tools and not necessarily have them take over. Oh, it's going to get me. No, it doesn't have to be like that, folks. Doesn't. Ooh, nice flag. There we go. All said. Oh, Anna Paulina Luna put this out, I guess. She says the Rules Committee and House leadership has decided to not bring anything to the floor to codify Trump's EOs or Doge, right? Well, she kind of did an update. She says, I just got a call, and I'm being told codifying will start next week. This is still a lame excuse. This could have started weeks ago, but so we are clear. If you do not put Doge or Trump's executive orders on the floor next week, I will be a no vote on every single rule, and I am positive I will not be alone. She says, meaning no lame messaging bills will pass. Nothing. She's going to be no on everything. Also, what's fun is Trump has just recently come out and truthed a positive statement about Anna Paulina Luna, how she's such a great patriot. So I think we've got abilities to put pressure on the right people in the right ways. All right, we're getting into the crux of this story. Trump's tax bill. This is funny. This is just funny. These were two headlines, okay, that came back to back, and I'm just going to kind of skim through. It's mainly the headlines because I think they're hilarious. All right, so first, Trump's tax bill would add $2.4 trillion to the deficit over a decade. Central, their Congressional Budget Organization, or whatever they're called, so the office, Congressional Budget Office. Trump's tax bill is going to add $2.4 trillion over the next 10 years. Tariffs will reduce deficits by $2.5 trillion over 10 years. CBO. So it's going to go up $2.5 trillion and down $2.5 trillion at the same time. But everybody's like, it's going to add $2.4 trillion. Actually, this is called 2.5. It's even more, which means we're saving money. We're actually paying off some of our debt, which is what they state we will actually do. Tariffs will reduce the deficits, right? We know this. We know this is what everyone's saying. Now, a lot of Republicans are saying Elon Musk is butthurt about this bill and being very, very kind of nasty about it. In fact, right before I went live, he posted one more thing to make damn sure everybody understood. He is no longer on board. Now, he's not necessarily attacking anybody per se, but very much attacking the bill. Doesn't like the bill at all. Some are saying it does away with the EV benefit that people got. So it was driving a lot of people to buy electric cars. And he realizes, a bunch of electric cars are not necessarily going to do well because people, especially now that we're drill baby drill, we're going to be doing gas-powered cars are just much better. And having the opportunity to do both. I mean, again, there's nothing faster than a Tesla pretty much out there. And reasonably sure, people were talking, I had a discussion with someone about Indy, and they're talking about how that's probably going to go all electric at some point. And it wouldn't surprise me. It's a huge different game. It wouldn't even compete. And it wouldn't be fair, really. But the way you can spin up an electric motor compared to how gas engines work, it's just night and day difference. If they can figure out a better way to do the powering of electric motors, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you can power them in a better way than batteries, which are disgustingly dirty, we've probably got a good technique or technology, right? But we need a better way to power those things rather than just stupid batteries that we got to charge. That's just stupid. Just stupid. There's got to be better ways to do it, which I think comes into some of the clean energy, and maybe little mini reactors and crap like that. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, Musk is not happy. Johnson and Thune are both pushing back against Musk, pushing back against all the senators that are coming out. There's a bunch of senators anyway that are coming out against this whole thing. And they're still like, dude, this is our bill. We love this thing. We're gonna stay good with this. I think I need to actually fix the speed. But here's Mike Johnson talking about how he's disappointed with Elon Musk.
What do you say to Elon Musk, who just called your bill a disgusting
Yeah,
abomination?
let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. We've applauded all the work they've done with Doge and identifying fraud, waste, and abuse in the government. It's a very important service that's been performed, and we're so excited about it. We're now in the process of codifying that. As you all know, the administration has qualified and quantified the fraud, waste, and abuse that they found in Doge. They're sending it to us to codify, and that's what we'll be doing with the rescissions package and the appropriations process. And so that's something we're very excited about. But with all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. We had a long conversation yesterday. He and I spoke for, I think, more than 20 minutes on the telephone, and I extolled all the virtues of the bill, and he seemed to understand that. We had a very friendly conversation about it, and I told him that we're achieving not only all of our priorities, all the promises we made on the campaign trail, all the America First agenda wrapped into this legislation. We're also achieving, the top line on this is two very important things. We're making permanent a massive tax cut, and we are making a massive reduction in spending. $1.6 trillion is the calculation. I've said this many times. I'll be saying it until we get this thing over the line. This is the most amount of money that any government has ever saved on planet Earth in a piece of legislation. Ever. It's a very important first start. Elon is missing it, okay? And it's not personal. I know that the EV mandate, very important to him, that is going away because the government should not be subsidizing these things as part of the Green New Deal. And I know that has an effect on his business, and I lament that. We talked about the ramp down period on that and how that should be duly considered by Congress. But for him to come out and pan the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
Do you think that Tesla is what's driving this? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm going to let others draw their own conclusions about that, but this is not personal between any of us. I just deeply regret that he's made this mistake.
Yeah, he's gone all in. Now, I think there's something more to this, frankly. I actually think it has more to do with Elon trying to separate optically from the Trump administration. See, when you've got a business and you go kind of in on the politic game, you kind of run the risk of pissing off the other side, no matter what side you're on. You're always going to piss off the other side, right? Taylor Swift made this mistake. Obviously, Kid Rock went in the other direction. And, many would say he made the mistake, or he didn't make a mistake. He came on our side, but I'm sure it's cost him some sales. I'm sure it has. Probably not that bad. Most of his audience was pretty much gun-toting type people anyway, so it wasn't going to be too difficult. So Speaker Johnson, he's not delighted at the Trump mega bill. I think this was actually what I wanted to play was the White House responding to this whole thing and talking about the big, beautiful bill that Musk is not thrilled about.
When he finds out, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Ah, man, I want to eat some sausage now, you bastards. Beautiful pork product. Ron Johnson's pretty pissed off. I don't think I want to play this, but he's calling it a big, grotesque bill. It's not going to pass. Said the president and Senate leadership has to understand that we're serious. They all say, oh, we can pressure these guys. No, you can't. Again, we are being very respectful. I ran in 2010 as part of the Tea Party movement. But again, a lot of yada, 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 right? 14 trillion in debt. They're worried about the debt going up. Says if we increase interest rates 1%, that's another 4 trillion over 10 years. Now, right now, Trump's making major headway on getting Fed Powell to finally go the other direction. But, and we'll talk about that, the idea of raising interest rates, it'd be actually, if they did, that would actually be kind of cool to a degree, in my opinion, because that would mean that the Fed's finally outwardly showing they mean to do harm to the economy. We will talk a little bit more about that coming up in the next group of stuff, but these guys are all kind of looking at little individual pieces of this and not really taking in the big picture. Like Scott Bessent has been telling us, there's many, many angles. I watched a beautiful 20-minute thing of his. I would love to have played it, but I already played the 12-minute thing the other day. And what he's been saying is really, really helping the big understanding, which is all these components come together, the tariffs, the deals where we can actually get our products into other countries. A whole lot of the stuff that's actually happening right now is going to affect the economy in significant ways that they're not filtering in, right? So this whole thing looks like, this is just going to cost more money. And they're worried about the debt ceiling, and they're worried about Medicaid, and they're worried about... And so again, they're all fighting it. Tillis wants major changes to Trump's tax cuts on tips. Now, he's like, well, you should be able to give it to other people. That's not fair. Why do people with tips get to get it and nobody else? Well, one reason, because there's a lot of shit states out there that you don't even make minimum wage on your tipped job. So tips are your entire income. And if you don't have anything going on, you make shit money. So, yeah, give them a break, dude. They're the ones that, serve your punk ass every time you go out to some restaurant and expect something. Tillis, you pile of trash. We got so many bad senators. So many bad senators. So, yeah, Elon Musk bashing President Trump. Again, I think it's to separate. A lot of people are wondering, is this going to work out to be some sort of haven for all the senators that don't support what Trump is doing? What I think it's meant to do from that standpoint, and all of the senators are falling in line with this trap, I guess. But it's meant to bring them out and show them that they're not really on board with Trump's agenda as much as their own agenda. And we obviously understand and we'll get there, that Blumenthal and Graham went out to Ukraine, oddly the exact same day that the attack on the airport happened, which was, frankly, not okay. And I will say I'd be surprised if Trump approved it. We will get there. I've got more info coming on that. So a lot of hardliners, a lot of people thinking they're going to be able to hide underneath Musk. I think this is kind of planned, And Musk might legitimately be pissed, and this might be something that Trump saw coming a mile away. And he's like, yeah, when we pull that out, he's going to get pissed. You know that, right? And they're going to be like, yeah, that's okay. That'll work. We'll make that work for us. And they are. There's no missed moves. That's why they call it 5D chess, too, because you've got to be able to look out what happens. All right, this is going to cause this person to feel this way. Then what are they going to do? And chess is actually a much simplified version of this because there's only so many choices that a piece can make, right? Like there's, I've heard it's an insane number when you take all the movements into account, but ultimately there's a lot of cases, there's only so many different things that they're going to do or could do. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene's come out, said full transparency. She didn't read the bill, and she's now opposed to it once she's read it. And her problem with it comes down to the AI stuff. Now, I'm going to read the actual, verbiage, because I'm going to give my opinion on this after. Guys hate it, like it, whatever. But in general, except as provided in paragraph 2, no state or political subdivision thereof may enforce during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act any law or regulation of that state or a political subdivision thereof limiting, restricting, or otherwise regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce. What this has to do with is the states being able to put pressure on the companies making AI and forcing them into certain behaviors. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia may be worried about porn or something being shown or who knows, or some sort of protection for children or whatever. She'll have some sort of positive reason that, the state Georgia should be able to maybe say, hey, AI companies, you can't do that. But the problem is we have China and or really something AI that's already here, but let's just keep it on the easy part. We have China that's going to do whatever they need or want to make a weapon against us. So if we've got all these guardrails on our AI and they don't, they're going to annihilate us. In fact, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene will guardrail us into our destruction. They'll think, right? The path to hell is often paved with the best of intentions, right? I get where Marjorie's coming from. Again, this is not the first time Marjorie's done something stupid, in my opinion. This is definitely in line with that. And then publicly making a spectacle. Oh, I didn't read it. I'm going to be honest, but now I'm against it. Okay. So you can't support Trump either, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. Trump is still saying this is the bill. He says there's some stuff in it I don't like, but whatever, it's how it works. And again, this is their problem. Now, one of the parts that's fantastic is Section 899. I didn't pull up the actual bill. I just went with this story because it kind of covers the section here beautifully. So Section 899 is the big deals. I bet you there's a few of these types of things. They're calling it the revenge tax. And they're saying it's essentially designed to punish foreign capital flowing from countries that do not comply with U.S. wishes on trade, like the EU Digital Services Tax. That's a specific example. So the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was recently passed by the House. In addition to the discussion on the various tax and spending cuts it contains, the new Section 899 provision has piqued a lot of interest recently. Here, Bank of America, Aditya Bave, answers client questions on what this provision entails and its potential impact. What is Section 899? Section 899, or Enforcement of Remedies Against Unfair Foreign Taxes, aims to impose retaliatory taxes on non-U.S. individuals, corporations with more than 50% ownership by non-U.S. residents, and governments from certain countries that impose unfair and discriminatory taxes on U.S. entities. This is different from similar provisions such as Section 891, which depends on the discretion of the executive to declare taxes as discriminatory by predefining to some extent certain taxes as being, quote, unfair. What this is a way for Trump to attack the deep state, especially the deep state countries, that are cheating on trade. This gives him tools to do additional things. This gives him abilities that he did not have before. This codifies, as they like to say, which always makes me laugh, because isn't it called a cod piece, the thing that they wear over the crotch, the growing area? Isn't that cod piece? Am I wrong on that? Always makes me think of that when they're like, codify it. I'm like, it's still funny to me. It's been a long time. I don't know why. That's how immature I am, and I plan to stay, dadgummit. I would assume there's other crap in this bill that's much of the same, but all said. Howard Lutnick is rocking here. There's a couple really good pieces I've got of him. One of them's him talking about the trade with India, and that's actually powerful. We need to understand what he's saying there. It's 3 minutes, but I think it helps us understand geopolitically how we can still manufacture stuff here, but have other countries sort of helping more in that process. And that's really what these bridge building sessions are all about, is this new multipolar world, getting rid of the deep state, which is really what this is all about. Again, it's an asset-based world, not as much currency. Currencies are going to be involved, of course. You need something to kind of keep track of and ledger, if you will. But really, it's going to be about the assets. What are you doing for me? What am I doing for you? We should be balancing that behavior, right? You should be giving me stuff. I should be giving you stuff. And that should be really close to balanced. And if it is, both of us are doing well. And that's kind of a sweet spot, right? So here's Howard Lutnick. Oh, well, it seems like sort of teaching Senator Reid what's up, but I don't know. Senator Reid seems not like he's pissed off, so whatever. But it's pretty cool. Check it out.
You're going to destroy NOAA. Well, that's consistent.
Under no circumstances. We have 2,100 meteorologists, and 120 retired this year, and we hired them back. I was able to have them exempted from the hiring freeze. We care about meteorologists. We care about hydrologists who do the rivers and the ponds. So we are fully staffed with forecasters and scientists. Under no circumstances am I going to let public safety or public forecasting be touched. But I tell you what we did cut. We did cut programs writing children's books for climate anxiety. Yes, that was in NOAA. And you agree with me, that's not part of our mission. Our mission is to forecast. Our mission is to protect. Our mission is to advise. Our mission is to research, not write children's books on climate anxiety.
How much money did you save there?
We saved tens of millions of dollars
on
nonsense out of NOAA. Nonsense out of NOAA.
I love his nonsense. I love it. I love it. He is pretty good. Again, there's so many different places that we're saving money that, again, this all adds up. It may seem like small amounts at times, but it's not. But yes, we've got a lot to do. Let's see. Police arrest this Palm Springs guy. I guess that should have been something else, possibly. Was there? Nope. Oh, well. So the Fed... it seems screwed up again. We'll see. I think this is intentional. I think this is part of, like, if you really look at it like a movie and you think about how does this have to play out, like, right? It's like if the Fed ultimately does have to mess up so badly so we can finally get rid of them, how would that have to happen? What they'd have to do is they'd have to fail to do the thing they're supposed to do, which is to protect our currency, to protect our economy, and ultimately help grow GDP. They're not doing that. And in fact, right now they're doing the opposite. They came out and said they're not raising rates again. I knew they would because Trump had talked to them. We also had that individual from the House. I've got something from them saying that they should do it. There was the other individual I shared recently that's like, yep, Fed should definitely do this. Like I said, Trump even went and talked to him. Lutnick, or Besant, has lunch with this dude every week. Every week, he said breakfast, I should say. Every week he has breakfast with him. That was part of that 20-minute thing I watched. It was really good. So the Fed... what they're doing right now by not lowering interest rates is they're essentially causing the GDP to slow down. They're causing our country to slow down. Looks like we're still barely positive GDP right now, but there's a lot of places that need to build. They need capital to do that. And by the Fed holding tight on the interest rates is actually causing that to be difficult to do or very expensive to do. Now, one thing that would be interesting is if the Fed really wanted to screw itself, they would actually raise the rate a little further because it still fears inflation, would be the use that it would say, the lie that it would tell us. And that would actually cause the crash because that would end all the investment. There'd be no reason. It'd be too expensive. So that could happen. Again, we don't know exactly how they're going. Trump again blasting Powell at being too late. Weakest ADP job reports in over 2 years. It's kind of funny that ADP's number, which again, deep state company, their numbers suck. We had some decent numbers reported last week or earlier this week in the jobs sector. But the ADP numbers, which is people using ADP in most cases, which not everybody does, they're kind of expensive, frankly. So yeah, there's the numbers were a huge miss too. By the way, it was supposed to be like 114,000 jobs and ended up being 37. So again, trying to make Trump look bad, and maybe it's totally Trump's fault. Who knows? Here's Jerome Powell basically saying, "Yeah, I'm not raising rates."
The economic environment has changed significantly since 2020, and our review will reflect our assessment of those changes. Longer-term interest rates are a good deal higher now, driven largely by real rates, given the stability of longer-term inflation expectations. Many estimates of the longer-run level of the policy rate have risen, including those in the Summary of Economic Projections. Higher real rates may also reflect the possibility that inflation could be more volatile going forward than during the inter-crisis period of the 2010s. We may be entering a period of more frequent and potentially more persistent supply shocks, a difficult challenge for the economy and for central banks. While our policy rate is currently well above the lower bound, in recent decades we have cut the rate by about 500 basis points when the economy is in recession. Although getting stuck at the lower bound is no longer the base case, it is only prudent that the framework continue to address that risk.
Yeah. So again, they're going to say all the fancy mumbo jumbo. Ultimately, long story short, they're not lowering the interest rate, which Trump wants, one reason, because he wants to refinance the debt. If he can get the interest rate dropped down, that's one of the things he did before, is he got a bunch of it financed at 0%. And I mean, if he can get it even lower, that'd be fantastic. So there's a game going on with the economy. And like I keep saying, when you think of a movie, you've got to think of the foreshadow moments, the moments that point to what's going to happen later in the movie. And you can see it coming sometimes, right? You're like, oh, the economy's kind of being weird. Trump keeps fighting. He keeps saying, you got to do this. You got to do this. Everybody's saying you got to do this. Jerome Powell doesn't do it. Of course, he's not going to do it. He can't do it when everybody's telling him to do it, because then it looks like he's doing it because everybody's telling him to do it. You see the problem there? Trump's doing this on purpose. He's not necessarily trying to save the economy, but as much be able to blame the Fed for what ultimately has to happen. And that is an adjustment of major proportions. Has to happen. And ultimately the Fed getting out and a lot of things has to happen. So again, baffle them with BS, right? Services, surveys, signals, soaring, plunging economy, yada, yada, yada. We've got literally two different metrics that almost always are supposed to move together. The ISM and the PMI, right? These are just two different global services, and then the ISM services are another thing, right? And they're going in opposite directions, which they're not supposed to really do. Nobody knows what the hell, or they're just, again, our metrics are so jacked, or they don't know how to lie to us anymore, or like the BS that they've been saying is the reason why things are the way they are has nothing to do with that, which I think is more of what that is. I think the economies are all a bunch of bullshit. I think our stock market is so ridiculous. So again, yeah, this was the interest rate cut. I already shared that. Now, everything was reasonably green earlier. The stocks have been actually all over the place today. I mean, they've just been up, down, up, down, up, down. And I think the final no interest rate just was kind of like the final nail in the coffin, at least for the Dow. I mean, it's not gone down a bunch, but you can see the pattern all day has been up, down, up, down, up, down. And so gold is up. It was up over 34 for a little bit and might finish that way, but needless to say, it's having a good day in the big picture. Folks, I'm telling you, if you're in the 401k or an IRA, I don't think staying in the market's a good time. I don't know how much longer we got, but you can see the writing on the wall. The stock market is definitely, it's just teetering. They're pumping air into it. And we've got just any number of situations. I mean, between the stuff that's happening with the war, Ukraine being escalated, we're still wondering what's going on with China in the big picture. We do have a trade war, and China is actually fighting it with Europe and with us, which is difficult because then that means a lot of their higher tech goods can't be necessarily dropped into Europe, which is where they would want to drop them if they're not selling them to us. And that's not necessarily an option, which it does look like maybe there's people are working, or European Union's working with Trump to help isolate China a little bit right now. Whatever the case is, there's a lot of things that could very easily change the market in one day. Doesn't matter what you're invested in or not. When certain things happen, it causes catastrophic results. How bad that's going to be, don't know. But ultimately, one, we need to be able to blame the Fed. So I kind of feel like it's going to come from that angle more than the wars. I think the wars are going to get worked out. But something's got to happen. And it's got to be large enough so it works as a catalyst, essentially. So it works as something that enough people will look at and go, yeah, we can't do this anymore. That's what we need. Do you want to be in the system when that happens? Do you want to be having your wealth, your life savings affected that easily? One thing that's going to happen is gold's going to go up, silver's going to go up. Up to 10% of the face value of your 401k or IRA, you're going to get free silver from my good friends at Goldco. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system. Get out. 4 data points, you're going to get a half ounce, most likely going to get a half ounce Ronald Reagan coin. When you hit the button, there's going to be a pop-up thing. Just says, hey, call us within 20 minutes or whatever. If you can do that, you're going to get yourself most likely the coin. You're also going to get up to 10% free silver. Again, whatever the face value is, up to 10%. They say up to because there is a sliding scale. I think it's like anything over 99,000, it's 10%, and then from there up, it's 10%. So you do 250,000 of your 401k, and now you got 25,000 free silver added to the pot to make a sweet deal, and it's physical silver. Now that's part of this whole process, by the way. This process is not just simple. It's very complex. There's a lot of legal maneuvers, and Goldco does it amazingly well. And they also answer all your questions. They have the best customer service I've ever seen, right? So you're pulling money out of wherever the 401k is. You're doing it tax-free, penalty-free. You're putting it essentially into a holding account. You then buy precious metals with that. Once those metals are received, they are then put into a trust, and that is where your precious metals IRA begins. So there are many steps to this process. You want to make sure you trust somebody to get you through that process, especially the tax-free, penalty-free. They can jack you on both those things if you don't do it right. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Put your money in something safe. Well, you can, because frankly, we don't know when or what's going to set off the volcano that's waiting, right? Get out of that system, folks, while you can. Diversify at best. DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. Judge says education department remains barred from canceling COVID-19 school aid. I think this is hilarious. In fact, they're even trying to go so far as to say, trying to mandate them making payments. I don't think they can do that. Education Secretary Linda McMahon subsequently informed the states in March this year these grant extensions. So what kind of kept happening is they kept extending it from back when COVID ended, and they extended it, and then they extended it like another time, right? I think states were initially given until September 30th, 2024 to obligate the use of the funds, and until January 28th, 2025 to access the funds to liquidate the obligations. The department later granted extensions to the plaintiffs, allowing them to access the funds through March of 2026. Well, Linda McMahon pulled that back. Or McMahon, sorry. McMahon. I just so naturally want to call her McMahon. But she, because it's spelled that damn way. But all said, Secretary Linda McMahon has pulled that back, and this judge is basically saying, no, you've got to allow this. But it's already extended, and nobody really filed for extension. And they do say that we're not really keeping them from anything. All the state has to do is just file for an extension, and we'll talk about it as an individual basis. But otherwise, no. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Supreme Court nears the end of a term, and there are some key things that are supposed to be brought up. Birthright citizenship, that's expected. Also, the concept of guns. I think this is the one that has to do with lawsuits filed. Let's see, courts in Maryland what block to enforce. I think this is the one that has to do with the guns being used in crimes. Well, the Mexican government sued several United States gun manufacturers, arguing they facilitated gun trafficking to the Mexican gun cartels. Why I don't know. I can't talk all of a sudden. Gun manufacturers like Smith & Wesson argued that Mexico's lawsuit is not allowed under the Protection of Lawful Commerce in the Arms Act, which blocks certain lawsuits against gun manufacturers. So they've got to kind of deal with that one. It's going to be fun. Supreme Court will decide whether the United States gun manufacturers can be held liable for violence from Mexican drug cartels. That's just insanity. We should start at the Fast and Furious, right? It wasn't that the one where the FBI, remember they sent down a whole bunch of weapons and they were like, haha, we're going to catch them. And we just sent them and lost all these weapons and we just gave to the cartels. Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on there. So yeah, we got some transgender stuff they're maybe going to see. What case should Free Speech Coalition challenge the law, arguing the age of verification violated the First Amendment and conflicts with Communications Decency Act. Oh, this has to do with the porn thing that Texas is doing, where they force, was it Pornhub, which is just all sorts of places are requiring age verification, and Pornhub literally just shuts down on those places. It's not going to do it or can't or would cause it too many problems. I don't know. It's literally just pulled out of France. Pornhub did. They pulled out of Texas. They pulled out of, there was I want to say it was Mississippi, might be the other state, where they were trying to pass that and just basically won't let you get Pornhub if you're in these places. So there's a lot coming up. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Here's Howard Lutnick talking about India. Again, maybe yawn to some people. I think this is fascinating and really does explain how the multipolar world is ultimately going to sort of become. It's no longer just going to be like one country controlling everything. It's actually going to be kind of an organized, larger world, global manufacturing. And if we can actually trust and have legitimate trade agreements that are not benefiting the deep state and are actually benefiting the countries of the agreements, then the whole world's going to be a better place. If we can get evil out of the way, then we won't need to have wars. We won't need to do a lot of this stuff. Things change. So Lutnick's talking about how India and the United States can, and the conversations they had basically leading into it, like kind of straightforward, calling a spade. It's pretty powerful. Check it out.
So the Indian economy is extraordinary. Your human capital capacity is amazing. Your growth rate is amazing. But there were certain things that the Indian government did that generally rubbed the United States the wrong way. For instance, you generally buy your military gear from Russia. That's a way to kind of get up, under the skin of America if you're going to buy your armaments from Russia. So I think India is starting to move towards buying the military equipment from the United States, which then goes a long way. And these kind of things, just creating that relationship, being a part of BRICS,
Yep.
right? Which is, let's move to not support the dollar and dollar hegemony. That's not really the way to make friends and influence people in America. So, the president calls that out directly and specifically, and the Indian government is addressing it specifically and directly. And that's how you move on to a really positive place, is put it on the table, address it straight on, resolve it straight on, and get to a really good place. And I think that's where we are.
Mr. Secretary, talk a little bit about manufacturing in India, because obviously there's a number of companies, including a couple of companies here, who are looking to invest further in manufacturing in India. What's your view of that? Do you think the U.S. will be doing more to help push more manufacturing in India, in addition to obviously manufacturing in the United States?
Well, I think the United States wants to bring advanced manufacturing back to the United States of America. All right, that's a key industrial platform for us to bring back domestic manufacturing and reshoring in America. Right? So now there are enormous number of product categories that we are going to be delighted for India to produce. And what we're going to have is you'll sort of have a trade deal that says, look, these kind of industries would be great for India to produce. And in fact, there are enormous numbers of industries that we'd really like to go to India, right? And what happens is you create this sort of trade deal that puts India in a unique position, right? Because it'll have a special relationship with the United States. In certain industries, it will have a better tariff relationship than most other countries in the world, which means India will be the beneficiary of those kind of products. So some will need to be reshored to America, right? But they'll be replaced with incredible opportunity for India, which has one of the most extraordinary economies, one of the most extraordinary, the key that makes an extraordinary economy is the determination.
Yeah, there is just a lot of growth that's going to be baked into us moving forward and essentially creating this new world. It's really what's happening. The deep state bad guys have been running this for so long. Ukrainian mafia and all that. You can follow the stories all the way back. I mean, Tartaria is probably involved in all that too. I mean, like all of this. And I kind of think that's where I think the deep state found the technology. I think that's where a lot of Tartaria stuff actually came from, was way back then. I think the bad guys started to uncover a lot of this technology, this hidden ancient technology, and begin to utilize it without us knowing, right? They had cities underneath, and so they started building stuff intentionally on top of it so they could have sole access. And they've done a lot of crazy stuff, guys. It's been tough. Pentagon's going to change their stance on Greenland. They're apparently going to delink the Arctic island of Denmark from the European theater, and they're going to move it over into the North American theater. That makes it official. Not that we're necessarily going to take over Greenland. Probably heading in that direction. Whatever the case is, there's going to be some sort of weird way where Denmark's going to be like, all right, you guys, you can buy Greenland for $1 or something stupid. We'll watch. I don't know. Hopefully it's not that ridiculous, because that's kind of what we did with Panama Canal, and that went a little sideways, maybe a little pear-shaped, some would say. Ex-Trump advisor calls for seizure of U.S. Senator's passport. This is Steve Bannon. I like it. I don't bring up Steve a lot. I like him. I used to watch War Room a lot, especially when Rumble first came out. That was like one of the things I go to for sure. But the Lindsey Graham going out to Ukraine. It is very, very interesting that Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, both senators, went out and had some sort of discussion with Zelensky, talking about how the United States has their back, when all the crazy stuff that's been going on and the peace that's being tried to be made, all that's trying to happen, right? And then these two go out, talk with Zelensky. Immediately after the visit, Kiev launched mass drone attacks on multiple Russian airfields, claiming to have damaged over 40 warplanes, including strategic bombers. Moscow has not confirmed the loss of any aircraft and claims to have shot down most of the drones. Immediately after they show up, Ukraine makes an attack that's really considered kind of off limits. It's just one of those, like, there's a lot of rules in war, and they broke one of the rules. You're not allowed to do that. This is one of the reasons why this is being touted as a huge risk of escalation. In fact, we had our guy, was it Kellogg? Yeah, Keith Kellogg warned. So the recent attack on Russia airfield reportedly hosting nuclear-capable bombers sharply increased the risk of escalation. Said on Sunday, Kiev launched a drone raid targeting airfields in 5 regions, according to the Defense Ministry in Moscow. Officials in Kiev said that the attack was aimed at Russia's strategic aviation. Ukrainian media reports claimed that the airfields housed Russian Tu-95 and Tu-22M strategic bombers, as well as an A-50 early warning and control plane. Russian officials said that the terrorist attack was repelled with no casualties, but that several aircraft caught fire. In an interview with Fox News on Tuesday, Kellogg suggested that the attack was upping the stakes in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The risk levels are going way up, he explained. when you attack an opponent's part of their national survival system, which is their nuclear triad, that means your risk level goes up because you don't know what the other side is going to do. The envoy also noted that he was particularly concerned by reports, which were not confirmed by Moscow, that Ukraine also struck the Northern Fleet headquarters in Severomorsk, which would have meant that 2 of the 3 legs of the Russian nuclear triad were under attack at one time. If Zelensky did this without permission at all, and then just tried to make it look like Graham and them allowed it, which I doubt, but let's just give the benefit of the doubt because that's certainly what Lindsey Graham's going to claim. If that's the case, then they're going to maybe be able to walk away from this, but certainly Zelensky has put himself into a position where, frankly, I would assume, again, rules of war, you're not generally allowed to assassinate leaders of countries. I don't know how that gets approved or what, but generally that's not okay. It's very easy to just blow a plane up that somebody's on. And those kind of things, I don't know. I mean, they can't use nuclear weapons, but they can do all sorts of other crazy stuff. This likely escalates. Even Viktor Orban is saying this is just gonna make things worse. It's gonna make things worse. You're talking about escalating stuff. Stop it. Stop doing it. Donald Trump, truth this out. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attacks on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is, in my opinion, that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. He's essentially got Russia on board with what is going to happen with Iran. That's a huge warning to Iran, and it looks like a handshake, it sounds like, with Putin, where Putin basically knows Trump wasn't behind this. He's like, I'm sure Trump's like, I didn't even know about this, so trust me, we're gonna destroy those who were involved. And I think we know it was Blumenthal and Graham. I'm almost sure that's why that story is public now. Zelensky says more Russian talks are pointless with the current delegations. Yeah, little bitchy face is like whining about everybody else. The guy that's got 0 cards to hold literally has no money at the table. He's got enough for an ante, and he's got 2 other people at the table with just stacks of chips. And he's like, all right, I'm all in. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, you're not all in. You have nothing to give. You have an ante at best. It's a mess what's going on over there. So Russia dismisses the likelihood of a trilateral meeting between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. He's like, yeah, no, this ain't happening. First off, could we even trust Zelensky to not literally pull a gun out of his waistband and shoot Putin right there on the spot? I mean, again, you just couldn't trust Zelensky. Can't trust him at all. At all. Everybody says that about Putin. I'm like, I think Putin's far more stand-up dude than Zelensky. Zelensky's on multiple occasions tried to blame Russia for things it did, trying to start and escalate the war further. So, not good either. Did I get that moved? I think so. We'll see. I did. Defense Secretary Hegseth to skip NATO-Ukraine aid meeting. There's an aid meeting going on, big old NATO meeting, and Hegseth's like, yeah, I'm not going, especially after what Zelensky's been doing and saying. Yeah, this has all been about giving money to Ukraine. And the United States is like, no. I mean, I'm sure we had somebody there, but not anybody of importance. Nobody that could make decisions, just somebody that was taking notes. Be like, can you do anything? Nope. Just taking notes. Russia strikes Ukrainian drone production facility. A total of 142 military targets were reportedly hit in a major strike. This likely, maybe, is Russia's response. They carried out combined strikes using drones and regular missiles. They targeting Ukrainian drone and radar manufacturing facilities, as well as munitions depots and equipment storage sites. The list of targets also includes drone storage facilities and launch sites, as well as position of Ukrainian troops and foreign mercenaries. A total of 142 locations were hit during the operation, which involved both missile strikes and drone strikes. Strikes came 2 days after the Ukrainian attack, so these likely are an answer, and it seems a rather strong answer. I'm very curious what's in some of these sites. That's what's super interesting to me, and I don't know if we'll ever know. But I think Russia hit some very, very key things. Just basically just said, all right, this is how you're going to play? I'm going to hurt you just as badly as you hurt us. I would be very doubtful if any F-16s still exist that in Ukraine right now. Like, I would be very doubtful. I'd be curious if any real Western anything exists. Any place where they had the cruise missiles, I would assume that's been hit. So I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, nobody knows. Well, Putin and them do, obviously, but NATO summit's going to avoid Ukraine membership issue. They're not even going to bring it up during this discussion that Pete Hegseth bailed on. Didn't, like, F you guys, giant middle finger. They're not even going to bring up the possibility of bringing Ukraine in because, yes, again, it's a hot topic for us. The United States is probably like, you do it and we're out. We're done. We're not going to support you guys. You guys are going to war with Russia. We'll probably join Russia, for crying out loud. Apparently, rockets have been fired on Israel from Syria for the first time in a year. Israel hits back. I just keep tripping on this, and it's like too small. I mean, they're Soviet-made Grad missiles. I don't know how capable they are. They didn't hit anything. They just blew up in a field somewhere. But then Israel then hits really, really hard. And I don't know. I'm starting to think that the deep state's launching these, and then the deep state's using this as an opportunity to attack. I don't know. Maybe they got good sights. That's one could hope that whatever we attacked, what Israel attacked, was some deep state bunker. I mean, this is what we get. So many different stories. The problem is, I know a lot of people get pissed. And it's like, I don't know, because I don't know. None of us know. There's people that are going to claim to know. Most people don't. In fact, almost nobody does. One cool thing coming out of the Kennedy Center, they're doing a showing of the King of Kings, after the Pride Month stuff was canceled. So they put out a show that's religious, not pride-oriented, and literally sold it out big time. Pretty cool. Finally seeing things kind of groove in the proper direction. Want to remind you guys of Pet Club, or not Pet Club, they're good too. I mean, that's not what I meant though, because they're both similar. It's danradiostyle. Where's Healthy Home? There it is. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Stem Active, an incredible product that really helps get your stem cell count up. It is done through just natural processes. Stem cells can become any other cell in the body. So if you need any sort of healing in your body at all, stem cells are the ones that rush to help. Arthritis, a lot of these different things are healing processes that are maybe not going as well as they can. There's certainly other factors in a lot of cases, but you want the stem cells to be there. This actually pumps them up 25 to 40% very quickly from the moment you start taking the pills or the gel. Either way you go. Incredible way to help. Balance is for a lot of people that are going through some of these changes. As they age and your hormones start to disappear and you start getting hot flashes and can't sleep at night, just, moods are all over the place. This balance, a lot of women are saying thank God for this. Again, plant-based, it's not putting hormones in you. It's helping your own body deal with the hormone thing that's going on already. 14 potent plant-based ingredients. It's a transdermal lotion. You literally just put a little of it on your wrist, you rub it on your other wrist, you're done. It's going to absorb. Life is good. That's all you had to do. It's powerful stuff. It'll bring balance to your life. Amaze is another great one. Again, I feel so bad. It still reminds me of that lady I saw at the gym. If you've got sagging skin, and I know it happens to all of us as we age, this is because collagen is missing. More collagen in your body is a good thing. Collagen peptides, a very good form of the collagen. It's going to majorly help make a difference in sagging skin, sore muscles, joint discomfort, lifeless hair, nails too. all that crap. I'm telling you, I cut my nails way more often than I've ever had to in my life. It's like weird. It's awesome. It's helping in so many ways. Prime is another great one. Just instant energy. Not instant, within a few minutes. I did it this morning before I left the house because I was figuring, all right, when are you going to feel it? I was already like halfway to the gym, which is, I don't know, about a 7-minute drive at best. And it was like, I was feeling it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm already starting to feel it. So it's awesome. Kicks in quick. Nitric oxide booster. It helps, I think, expand, basically, is my understanding. It helps you, it expands your blood vessels, helps more blood flow. So you're getting more oxygen, more stuff, nutrients to where it needs to go. It just helps. It helps even with the healing process, too. If you've got healing issues going on and you're using stem cells, you might want to actually enhance that, too, with the Prime. It's going to help get more of the stuff moving around. And they've got Stem Active for your pets. It's actually very inexpensive in the big picture compared to other stuff. And in your pets, same thing. If they're going through surgeries, if they've got discomfort, arthritis, hip dysplasia, in some cases, it's not going to necessarily make their bones fixed, but it can help with a lot of the places where they're having the discomfort. Stem Active makes a big difference in that too. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Healthy choices mean healthy life. Healthy life is what we're all shooting for and fighting for. So hopefully you guys are doing that with us. I've got a great music show this coming Friday. It's going to be like 60s, like late 60s-ish, mostly. Mid to late 60s, but it's mostly in that kind of cool rock genre area. Got a lot of really good music. Kind of spread it out a little bit. It's not just rock, like Doors and stuff. It's not just like that. It's a good mix. It's going to be a fun time. Should be really good music. Come hang out with us. Got a really great community, just chit-chatting and enjoying. And again, a lot of these people end up becoming friends and stuff and actually communicate and hang out with each other. So we're creating a fun little network, and I think you might want to be a part of it. It's a lot of fun. So come join us 3 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That will be happening, and very good. And we've also got Law of One is going to be happening Thursday at the same times that I just said. And we've got a good one coming this week. I've got to do the editing on it still. That's going to happen after I get done uploading this for you guys. But yeah, we've got a lot happening. And I've already got the music pulled. I've said this for the Houston show coming up July 4th. If you want to be a part of that, please email. Go to onthefringearoundthenation@gmail.com. That's onthefringearoundthenation@gmail.com. Just send an email. Let us know how many of you are coming. If you've already let us know, don't sweat it. You don't need to tell us again. But if you're thinking, oh, I'll be in the Houston area, Pearland Avenue, it's called Two-A-Days. If you want to look it up and see where that is relative to you or where you might be. And I guess if you're flying in for some reason, which some are, which kind of trips me out, there's the specific airport you want to use, and I don't remember the name they give, but make sure you find the airport that's closest to the actual thing, because the other one's like on the other side of town, and like that's an hour-plus drive, or so. It's like it's ridiculous with traffic and everything, so you don't want to do that. That said, if you want to join us, please do. On the Fringe Around the Nation's happening this July 4th, like literally 1 month from today. Holy crap. It's so close. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a live show. We're going to have some stuff that we're going to kind of give away, like a raffle. Kind of working through all that. I actually got some stuff that I'm going to give from like Healthy Home. I got some stuff that My Pillow's given me. I'm going to actually buy some gift cards to give out. So I'm going to try to make it cool for you guys and make it fun for those that show up live. So if you can be there, it might be a lot of fun. Houston area, July 4th this year. Basically a month from today, and hopefully that's something you can do. If you think you want to be a part of that, hit onthefringearoundthenation@gmail.com and give us a heads up how many people are going to show. I love you guys. We're going to keep fighting the fight. We're going to keep moving forward, and I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm here for the long haul, and I'm here for the stuff that's coming. We're just getting to the scratching the surface at this point. It's pretty awesome. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.